Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder, it's Dvoid here. Got a 1v1 multiplayer game. We're on Scorched Earth map for this one. I'm using Russia, my opponent's using Russia for this one. We've got a couple of spectators. I'm using my secondary green colour. I use this when my opponent's got a red colour similar to my primary colour, but my opponent ended up going with a green as well. So I'm in the dark green, my usual secondary colour in the bottom right. My opponent's got this lighter green in the top left. And they've got an engineer, but they've also got a dog from a kennel. So that's an interesting start. I've sent my usual 2 riflemen straight to secure the oil derrick, but make sure there's no enemy units heading for it. There's the engineer going to capture my closest oil derrick. My opponent's doing the same. Should have sent a rifleman straight this way. There we go. Their dog's view range dealt with those 2 rifles of mine, no problem. Now I'm trying to catch our engineer out, but I've also sent another rifleman over here. We've both captured our first oil derrick, but I've sent a few rifles to secure this one, so I can send the engineer to capture it. Yeah, my opponent sent riflemen to check out where I am, where some units are. I've got this guy here. Yeah, there's the dog. And they're going for the hospital, they've got it. Looks like they're hunting for my engineer as well, going by their own timing. There we go, I've intercepted them. Got the defender's advantage on that one. Not enough this time. My engineer's been protected quite well. There you go. Yeah, they've protected their engineer as well, my opponent. Let's have a look. We've got our war factories underway. I'm slightly ahead by about 13 seconds. And they've got a proper escort for that engineer. Because you can snipe them from the sides if you have riflemen. From here, you can snipe at the engineer. You can fire blind if you want. Now I'm going for the hospital, but I was trying to keep the view range out of the view range, but my opponent can see that look, so they know where I am. But I wanted to guard the hospital while making it look vulnerable. Yeah, my opponent's falling back. And there you go, there's my engineer. This is my opponent's view range. And they can see that I've got a scout vehicle as well. Now I'm seeing if I can... I've just taken the hospital, just captured it. I'm seeing if I can secure the oil derrick as well and the dog. There you go. That wasn't my fault. It was my opponent's fault for putting that dog in the harm's way. These things happen in war. It wasn't on me. Don't phone the RSPCA on me or anything. And my opponent's got their APC with their engineer. Mine has just managed to survive, look. Almost got destroyed by my opponent. Now, I couldn't engage into that because they've got the view range of the oil derrick. And there's run over 2 of my rifle guards. So I doubt I noticed that. It was just a squish. Very quiet sound. And there you go. Now, I'm reacting now, look. Making sure he's not got too much time to linger in my base. And I'm falling back. We've both got similar positions for our units here, just by the first oil derrick. I've got 7,000 army value, my opponent's got 6. And there's the scout vehicle, having a look around. He's got this engineer in there. I have as well, actually. Now, I've got my second MCV, and I'm sending my APC just to check out the area, and then go to screen my infantry. Help secure the hospital, and I saw my opponent's engineer. This is my view range, look. So so I'm sending my APC as quickly as possible. And let's see how close it is. Look at that capture bar. Got him just in time. Now my APC should park here, because then it would block that APC from getting out and getting away. You see, APCs are very good, very effective units, but these were ready for him. No chance. So there you go. I thought, nice, I've got rid of the scout vehicle, and now I'm producing heavy tanks. Need the expansion setting up. There we go. So that's given me, I'm at 13,000 army value, my opponent's at 9,000 army value, and they're going for the hospital, and I thought, right, I've got to engage before and use the view range of the hospital before they destroy it. I've got very few units, very little advantage from the hospital. But the tank, you see, these infantry aren't even fighting alongside it. These guys are, but that's it. Luckily, it survived. And then I saw that tank, and I had to get the APC away. So I thought, right, I've pushed the enemy back, but I don't want to overdo it. I've sent these 2 units for repairs, because that's my first tank. I don't want to lose that for nothing. It would have had very little value had I lost it. But we've got 4. There we go. It's just rolled out. So there's 4 heavy tanks. As soon as this one replaced, it's 4 full top condition heavy tanks. And then my opponent's got 3 now. And producing plenty of troops. I'm at 18,000 army value. My opponent's at 13. So let's see, they're grouping these tanks with their units. It looks like this is going away. Oh, yeah, right, they're escorting their MCV. Their second MCV, making like a defensive point here. And they're going to expand there. I would have chosen to expand here because you can always fall back to this position. I've said before, that's what I'm doing. Look, I advance and expand up here first. I just go for the more aggressive forward position, and you can fall back if you have to. But my opponent's got that well protected. It's lucky I didn't just throw units over there. And I saw, look, and reacted because they're killing scout units, scout rifles. So I saw, and I'm getting a defence ready. I'm more than ready. 24,000 army value to me, 18,000 army value to my opponent. And there you go, they've attacked. And they're falling back straight away. They're right to. They didn't even see the full extent of my defences, but they didn't need to. They knew I was ready for them. And I've got my main army. It's almost a 50-50 split for my army, which isn't always the best bet, but my opponent has got very little to stop me here, and my APC has got the engineering. This is a crucial target. Take out the service depot, and rather than destroy the construction yard, I thought I'd capture it. Now they can't build base defences, you see their build radius is red. They can't build here now. This can't build anymore, but they've just killed the engineer by selling the war factory. I would have sold a refinery instead, because you've got another refinery, but it's heat of the moment, and during battle you don't always think of the obvious and clear answer. You just want rid of that engineer, which is the right thing, and then now I'll destroy it, if that's the way they want it. And I've overrun their base, and they've sent this army back, and it did sneak through my defences. There's a force from over here, and they've caught my construction yard, and this force isn't enough to stop it. And I was trying to place a base defence and escape with the Alt command all at the same time, and I did neither. But here we are, my force is too large, I'm overrunning them, and my opponent, even though they haven't got vehicles, they are right to attack now because they've got the view range of their own structures, so it's essential that they attack now before it's just infantry on its own. And there you go, I've got my tanks up front. I know the enemy is destroying them, but they haven't got tanks of their own, and I've got more on the way. Now I've split their fire. Done. Very nice. My opponent did very well destroying all my tanks but one, but you know, the infantry does the damage and they're in it. Now my opponent's asking for a rematch, and when I said yes, they called it. So there's game 1 over and done with for you, and I'll go through the graphs and charts. We had a couple of spectators, like I say, they were watching, and like I say, my opponent asked for a rematch, So I'll go through the graphs and charts for you, and I'll post them both in the same video, post both replays in the same video. But it looks like my opponent was suffering losses which kept them slightly behind me in army value, but they were increasing in army size more quickly than I was at this point, look. So it was just probably some early engagements like kept me in that and enabled me to win. And then when our armies reached peak, a big, large engagement kicked off, and my opponent suffered heavy losses very quickly, as did I. Here's the earnings graph. My opponent, it was about even, but then they were doing better towards the end, so yeah, they did well when it came to earnings. Nice. And there's my army at the end. There's only a few heavy tanks, flamethrower soldier, and a basic amount of infantry. Not much. 15,000 army value. Yeah, it's not a lot. I lost 1 structure, my opponent lost 17, and I killed 171 units, my opponent killed 116 units. I destroyed 44,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets, my opponent destroyed 27,000 credits worth of mine. No support powers in effect, it's not even 10-minute mark yet, not quite 10 minutes. So it was good for that amount of combat in such a short game, and I'm building another war factory, my second. I usually like to build another war factory before I build my radar dome if possible, because you want to be able to produce those tech vehicles quickly and get your tanks underway quickly. So yeah, there's my production, heavy tanks, infantry, basics. There's the economy tab. I've hung on to both oil derricks, that one and that one. Got 7 ore trucks left. I earned 71,000 credits. My opponent earned 70,000 credits. Very close in earnings. That's good. We've both got 9,400 left each. So we had a good flow of income on that, look. That's not bad. We both did well for earnings. My opponent did well there. Very close in earnings. So I was at 25 actions per minute. My opponent was at 28 actions per minute. And there's our scores. 466 to me, 250 to my opponent. There's all your stats, graphs and charts, and I'll go to the second replay for you, because like I say, they asked for a rematch. I fought both games one straight after the other, so I'll add them and post them together. So here's game number 2, our rematch, and my opponent chose this map, and it's Sompio map, the RAGL 13 map, and I'm using Russia, and my opponent's using France for this one. We've got 1 spectator this time. So here we go. I'll put on the production graph, and like I say, I chose the first game and my opponent joined. I chose the first map, I should say, Scorched Earth, and my opponent, for our rematch, my opponent set up this game and they chose this Sompio map, which I'm not very good on. I haven't used it many times, but still, it's their choice, their turn, so that's fair enough. Right, sent my engineer with a rifleman close behind to the closest oil derrick, and I'm sending the bulk of my rifles over here to secure this one, but I have also sent a lone rifleman this way, just to see what my opponent does at this closest oil derrick to them after this one. So they've captured the first oil derrick, I've just captured it, now my engineer's on its way over here. So, with my engineer taking this route, I've got my rifleman here. My opponent's engineer's taking the same route as mine, look, on his way to this one. So if you bear in mind what your engineer is doing, you won't go too far wrong in sending a rifleman or 2 to check out in case the enemy's engineer is doing the same. And look, our riflemen have met, but so's the engineer and my rifleman, and I've got him. And I got the first shot off as well against this guy, and I'm a veteran, so I've killed a rifleman and an engineer there. Held this position, and I've got the capture underway, so my opponent's lost their engineer. 5 rifles won't do the job. Yeah, they were right not to engage with those 3. Just decided to leave them there instead. Provide a bit of intel. They've got a group of 5 rifles here and a couple more here. So even though they can't capture any more oil derricks, they are trying to secure this one. I've got a rifle guard here near a civilian collaborator talking to a rifleman, an enemy rifleman. Now we're both about... I'm in my green, of course, my secondary green colour, because my opponent chose red. So my primary red colour, if my opponent's using a colour similar to it, I'll go with my secondary green. And here we go, I'm about to bump into those 3 rifle guards. Yeah. No problem there. I'm regrouping all these together to protect my engineer. And sending enough rocket soldiers to make it an effective unit group for the early game. And I've got my APC. And I'm producing grenadiers. 3 minutes. And I've got a Gren drop being prepared. It's difficult to time when to train 5 grenadiers because it can have a bad effect on your income and leave your production and other unit production stalled, and your building production and your ore trucks. So you have to choose the right moment to train 5 grenadiers. My opponent's got a ranger with another engineer in it. Looks like they might be thinking of oil derricks, but I'm not sure. And there we go, I'm sending this group of units. They've got my engineer with them and the APC. And they've got 5 grenadiers in that APC, so I've got to be careful with it. Here we are. Now, I place rifle guards instead of at all these different entrances. Dog just sneezed in case you picked that up. But instead of placing rifle guards at all these different approaches to my base, I actually guard my ore fields with riflemen in case the enemy uses a rocket drop or something, an APC with rocket soldiers in, and I've lost my engineer there. That was a shame. My opponent did well catching him out, but I've also got theirs and their ranger. Now, I'm using these troops as a distraction. This is my starting army. 3 rocket soldiers in there. It's an important force. And my opponent's got units ready, but this is a distraction. And I'm attacking their ore trucks while my APC, the true threat, while this guy is using his scouting tools, he's scouting for me, and I'm attacking these power plants, and they're all fake. This guy is attacking the service depot because you only need 4 men for power plants. I should have attacked that one as well, that's real. But, so I've done nothing so far, but I've got the service depot. That's good. So, their production, they're now building light tanks. That's not good for them, because they can't build a second MCV now. Let's have a look. Mine is just rolling out, so I got it in the perfect timing. My opponent now has to move their home base MCV out, so they're no longer producing buildings of any kind or base defences. So that's probably quite bad. And they did well with those fake barracks, though. Fake power plants, look. They've got 2 real power plants, 3, and 3 fakes, so they did very well placing them. I had no idea. And there my rifle guards are telling me what's going on. Yeah, I'm sending scouts myself. Forces here. I've got my expansion set up. A bit of an eco transfer, look. Yeah, I'm looking for them. This is a good sized map. It's not easy. There's so many different routes and approaches to your base, but it's very defendable. You can set up forces in these areas and kill a lot of enemy units trying to cross these mud bridges. You can defeat an army far larger than the force you're using if you position them right. It's a quite I'd class it as a high level map, a competitive map. And there you go. That rifle guard has told me that the enemy's here, so I've got primary production, base defences, I've got a couple of tanks, so my opponent's turned away. That is a very good move, because I'm now placing resources here, and they've changed direction, so that's perfect. If your opponent sees you coming, you don't want to continue the attack, because look, if I continued and attacked here right now, they've got more than enough to destroy my army. Very good. Very good response, so I can't just rush in there. That's why I've stopped. And I'm thinking about moving around the back or something. My opponent's got a force here, while I'm expecting an attack over here. Look, and I'm even looking for them in that direction. So they did very well. That was perfect manoeuvre. But I've changed my mind and gone back, because the view range of the oil derrick will tell the enemy where I am. So they're ready for me there, and I'm not ready for them here. So they've hit my expansion. This is the perfect place to attack, because all my ore trucks are moving away now, look. And they've got my refinery, so I've had to turn back with my army here, but I need to launch a counter-attack myself, and my opponent's moved out. He's probably hoping that I'm responding with all my units to my home base, but no, I'm ready. And their vehicles are gone. Now, I've only got one, but I've got the view range from it. My opponent doesn't want to engage into that. Yes, they're right. Look, they've done right. Perfect. Now, this force is moving away, while my army is trying to respond. There's a second war factory. Let's get some look at army values. 17,000 to my opponent, 19,000 to me. Close enough for any mistake to end it for either player. This is the rematch, don't forget. And I've got this oil derrick here, and this one, so it's 2-to-1 in oil derricks in my favour. And these light tanks are drawing me out of position. It's actually effective. Actually, they're very fast, so you could use them to draw your opponent's units out of position and hit them elsewhere. You know, very good tactic, and I've got a good army at my home base now. This is thinning out, and that was my eco-transfer on its way, look, so I've had to turn them away, set up here, and then attack using the view range of my ore refineries an advantage. Get the tanks up front, and there you go, my opponent's backed off just before my ore refinery collapsed and blew up. So yeah, now they're on the run there, and that was good, excuse me. But yeah, I've got a decent force, and seeing my opponent retreating, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. So now I'm trying to group my whole army together and catch them in a decisive defeat. There you go. Now these 3 tanks have found the enemy, and I thought, right, I'm losing a tank there. These 2 need to get back and screen these guys. But these guys are moving forward too quickly. I should have left them here. But I've trying to arrange them in a decent formation. Look, get the tanks back. Yeah, look, so I can use the view range and screening, but also infantry fighting together. And my opponent, perfect formation. Down to the last few units, look. And my opponent's got no vehicles, which is why they couldn't spot them. I shouldn't have moved forward with them. But neither side should be moving forward. But my opponent's got a far better formation, look. And we've both got tanks arriving. Oh, look, my tanks had to go around. And my flamethrowers, very effective. Look at that. Perfect suppression tool. I'm losing these tanks. Not good. Look how quickly I lost them. My opponent's got a decent mix of infantry, but his forces are too spread out now. He had a really nice formation, but now it's broken. And there you go, I won even without vehicles, so now my vehicles are arriving. My opponent doesn't want to be fighting like that. That's brought us down to 7,000 army value to my opponent and 12,000 to me. There you go, my opponent's got artillery and an helipad now. So I've got to get away from there. You can't attack through that. I'd just be slaughtered. It's a perfect example of what I was saying. You can place artillery units here and a couple of tanks and some infantry here, and you could just hold up a really good-sized force and splatter them with the artillery while you're at it. So effective. And my opponent's moving south with their expansions. They've got another service depot set up. It's good to see. 10,000 army value, 11,000 to my opponent, 14,000 to me. So they're catching up again. That wasn't good. I lost some units I didn't need to. But I've got that's a decent sized force, but I should not be delaying like this. I need to hit my opponent. Look, there's very little here. Just a few units and a tank. And here we go. I have launched my attack. An attack on an ore truck will draw a response. My opponent will see. And they'll draw all the units they can. Everyone's coming back. So now I'm aware I've got to do the damage I can before they arrive, and then deal with my opponent's army piecemeal before too many of them arrive. Because I'm fighting amongst his structures, so I can't fight a superior foe, a superior numbers. I can't do that. So, and if they, even if they don't have to have larger numbers, as long as they've got a good position and enough. So you have to, like, destroy them as they arrive, if they give you that opportunity. A good player won't. And this player has done very well. You see how they've held back and prepared a defensive position, how well that artillery has been doing. They've kept the helicopter in it. Such a, you know, perfect response. Very well done. That was a good example. Very good example. They just should have been building structures in front of me a bit more, and didn't see a lot in the way of base defences. There's some. They have been building them, but yeah, it's you know, it's just I managed to overwhelm them, basically. I had the numbers, and they're taking out my rocket troops nicely, but I've got a thief, and he's gunned him down with his Black Hawk, and now there's an engineer and another thief, and my opponent has got enough ammo to deal with them. So that's like 900. Now that's 1,400 they've just killed in 3 bursts. And I'm low on rocket soldiers. Shoot that helicopter. There you go, it's done. So there you go, there was game 2 for you. I wasn't letting up. That was just, you know, they were going to be getting finished off. There can be only one Dvoid, I'm afraid. So I'll go through the graphs and charts for you. Here's the army graph, and look, yeah, it's similar to what happened before, where my opponent seems like they were taking losses, but the production of their units was keeping their army value even. So, and they were ahead at that point, look, at one point, very nice. So, and it looks like losses from the start, so it's a very interesting army graph, very different to the last one that was an up and downer, very different. There's my finishing army, some heavy tanks, engineer, and not a lot of infantry, 20 infantrymen, very few. Yeah, 12,000 army value, I didn't have much at all, but these tanks, they're powerful, heavy tanks are powerful, and my opponent, I can spill out loads of infantry, and I've got these tanks to screen them, and then I'm going to be building more, and plus I've got 3 war factories. He was right to give it up. But I've got, like I say, 12,000 army value. I lost 4 structures. My opponent lost 17. And I killed 250 units. My opponent killed 260. But the value, I destroyed 56,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 56,000 credits worth of my assets. It's even. Very, very close in destroyed assets. 56 grand each. Very interesting, and very close in actual units killed as well. So a lot of what we were killing had the same value. Very interesting. No support powers in effect, but I've got my radar dome. I'd started with thieves and that, but I would have soon started producing V2s, because with 3 war factories I can produce them quickly. But I'm producing flame towers, thieves, and heavy tanks. Let's have a look at the economy tab. I've got 2 oil derricks I've hung on to, this one and this one. And 8 ore trucks. My opponent earned 79,000 credits. I earned 102,000 credits. Very nice. I've got a little bit of cash each. I've got 5 grand. My opponent's got 1.5. But it was nice how they shot my thief, engineer, and the other thief with the last of their ammo, held back on firing at something irrelevant. So that was nicely done. Here's the basics. I was at 30 actions per minute. My opponent was at 30 actions per minute. And my opponent's score was 541. My score was 558. Very close. Very, very close in stats-wise. Although the result was not close, because, like I say, there can be only one Dvoid. I had to get the job done and deal with this. Just quickly slice, painless, deal with. But there you go. There's all the stats and graphs and charts. I hope you enjoyed those games. So if you like what you saw, give us a sub and a like. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. I've got plenty more to come. I've had some of my viewers send some very interesting replays that I haven't actually had a chance to properly watch myself. So I'll post them when I get a chance. And, you know, I'll get to see them properly for the first time myself when I do. So thanks again for watching. Take good care of yourselves. And for now, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.